We're out here with Leo.
We are. So Leo learned earlier this week the stationary heel position, and now we're going to add in some motion. Typically when we teach the heel position, it kind of falls in line with a lot of the other stuff that we're working on, in which we are reinforcing the dog from staying. So that implied stay is being built into all of our behavior. And typically what happens when we go to teach, when we start to add motion to heel, is we go to take off and the dog stays behind. The dog's like, wait, you really like when I'm right here? I'm gonna stay right here and be successful. So sometimes that's what's happened. So we'll kind of take a look, and basically what we'll do is we'll utilize our clicker to help us get the next steps. So let's see where he's at. We're gonna start off in basic position. We can probably start to use the word we want for this exercise if he's really kind of getting there pretty quickly. So typically we're calling it something like heel. So I'm going to say it and then I'm going to show him. And for right now, I would say since he just learned it this week, he probably still needs a food lure. Good. When he's correct, he has a nice loose leash. As he was getting into that heel position, I did use the leash a little bit to help kind of buffer up my food lure. So I was using a little leash pressure and spatial food pressure. Good. So where he's kind of fixing his butt there, I'm going to kind of fix that. Good. And so he tries to scooch back, so I'm going to see if I can reinforce him. Good, for holding that and not scooting his little butt back. I think, okay, perfect. And we talked about this earlier in the week. Dogs typically, they see in pictures, and so he's used to seeing the front of our body and the front of our faces up until this point when we're training. And so we call this basic position, and now that he's facing the same direction as us, that's a different perspective. And so he's just trying to scoot his butt out to better see what he's more familiar with the front of my face. So we're gonna have to work against that and make sure we reinforce him in this new position until he finds it more reinforced. So I'm gonna help him get there. I'm using leash pressure right now to indicate he's incorrect, and loose leash means he's correct again. So when he went into that now, good. I used a little bit of leash pressure on, and then I helped him fix it and get back into this position. And as soon as he went back into that position, or even as soon as I think he's going to make a change, I can release that leash pressure to tell him he's on the right track. So that's a reoccurring theme in this program. We want to make sure that we are using our leashes to communicate to our dogs, okay, versus just having it be this thing that keeps them from getting to wherever it is they want to go. All right, so he looks good there. I'm just going to be on the lookout for him kind of shifting and pivoting out of heel position, and we're going to start to add motion to this. So, heel. Oops. And so right there, what happened was he didn't go back far enough, so he didn't get to turn around. Heel. There we go. Now he's going to be a little bit more straight. Perfect. Good. So I'm going to get my clicker ready, and I'm going to start to take off. Oh, and he moved with me, so that's perfect. If you go to take off in heel and your dog stays behind, we typically just need to use the clicker to classically create moving with us. So what I would do is call them into heel. I would take a step forward and click as I take my steps forward, and the dog's just going to move because his job is obviously to run to me to get food when he hears that clicker. And so what happens on the third or fourth rep is I start to move forward, he's going to anticipate my click and start to move forward even if I didn't click. And then we can just use the clicker, what we call operantly. So classical conditioning is creating the response we want. Operant conditioning is where, what just happened in his rep, I moved forward and he moved forward with me, and I can click the moment and kind of take a snapshot of the behavior we actually want to create. So even though it's the same thing, we're clicking when we're walking, knowing if you're clicking with classical conditioning or knowing if you're using your clicker operantly is kind of, it's important because it's a nuance that helps make clarity in your training. So if that seems confusing, don't worry, we'll definitely talk about this more. And so when I go to take off, I can also re-cue him to heel. So the only time we really like to repeat our commands is when the dog is actually already doing it, and we're just reminding them that we're still doing it. Heel. Nice. So I'm clicking. You can see, like, I don't know if you could, I can see his face. But as they go to move, you could see him going like, should I move with you? And the clicker was used operantly here to say, yes, like that thing you just did was on the right track. Heel. Good boy. Very nice. Good. Heel. Yes, good. So those tentative steps that he's taking, he hears the clicker and he goes, ah, that thing I just did, I'm gonna do that again. Heel. Oops. Good. 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 Right now, I still want to pay him for arriving into heel. Eventually, we won't need to use the food. Heel. Good. Nice. Now he's doing it more confidently, and I took an extra step, I think. And that's the next step. I would be taking more steps and really making sure that I have that picture that I want to create before I click and reward. We'll do one more here. Another thing I want to point out is that we're using what's called the recipe. So I'm saying the command and I'm waiting for him to offer a behavior, and I'm not repeating my command until I kind of see what he has to give me, and then I'm going to show him if he's incorrect. So I would use his no reward marker and a little pressure to help him get there. But that way we're not bogging his brain down with over repeating our commands. We want him to learn to respond to our command the first time we say it. So it's really important to kind of start to utilize that recipe. We'll talk about more of that in class. Heel. Good. Also starting to use the leash a little bit more to fix him. Good. Heel. Good. Nice. That's beautiful. Good job, Leo.